Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, or whatever it is. Good afternoon, students. Today we will be discussing Unit 2 of Aspects of Language and Linguistics, the origin or the dawn of language. How did human beings develop the ability to use language, the ability to communicate with each other? How? We do not have facts regarding how did language come into existence. Now, what is Charles Darwin? Who's Charles Darwin? Is the most famous author of the book Origin of Species. What does Charles Darwin say regarding this? He says that human beings acquire the ability to communicate with each other, the ability to convey their feelings of mutual love towards each other through the use of musical notes and rhythm. So, according to Charles Darwin, through music, language came into existence. Now, how did language originate? We do not have facts. We have only speculations. We have only speculations. What are speculations? We're not talking about facts here. We're talking about abstract theories given by numerous linguists, philosophers, and psychologists. For centuries, so many thinkers have proposed fascinating theories about language origins. How did we start talking with each other? How did we share our mutual feelings towards each other? Today, we will be discussing six classic theories in linguistics that offer intriguing perspectives on the profound mystery of how did language come into existence. Now, when we look back through history, language must have developed between uh, almost like one lakh or like 50,000 years ago. And spoken language came before written language. And when did written language come into existence? About 5,000 years ago. Spoken language came into existence around 50,000 years ago. We do not have any concrete physical evidence regarding the origin of language, but we do have concrete evidence for written language. But for spoken language, we do not have any concrete physical evidence. Before we move on to all these six theories which have been prescribed to us, a theory has been left out, the most famous theory. It's called as the theory of divine source. What does Bible say regarding language? In the book of Genesis, we come to know that God created Adam. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. Whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. Whatever name that Adam gave to any living creature or thing, name, place, thing, that was what it was called thereon. Now, when we take Hindu tradition, language came from Saraswati. Many religions give proof that a language came from a divine source. In order to rediscover the original divine source or the original divine language, many experiments were carried out by several kings under their rule. Now, let's move on to the next theory, the bow wow theory. How did we start speaking? Max Muller says that we started speaking by imitating. What is imitation? Imitation is an act of copying. So let's say there is a child, and it sees a dog passing by making noise. What noise does a dog make? Bow wow. And when the child looks at the dog making noise, it will try to imitate and say to its amma, Amma, there is a wow, wow, wow. So the act of imitation. So when a cuckoo flies by, you can imitate the sound of a cuckoo and make its noise, cuckoo. So this theory states that language came from the act of imitation. Language began by imitating natural sounds. This is the key word. We imitated natural sounds of animals, of birds, of water, of thunder. Our ancestors were fascinated by nature. They heard the sounds from nature and tried to mimic or imitate them. Gradually, whatever that we imitated turned into regular or conventional words with meaning. Meaning was given later. Who coined the bow wow theory or the term? Max Muller coined the term in the 19th century. Animal sounds, we have woof, meow, moo. And then when it comes to nature sounds, we have splash, bang, hiss. And action sounds, you can see a bee buzzing. You have the buzz of a bee, the sizzle of meat, uh, roasting on a pan, and then you have thump. When people fight with each other, you have the thumping sounds, or when people clap their hands together, or when they are not their hands together like this, you have the thumping sound. So, through the act of imitation, language came into existence. These sounds are imitated by the people of a community. A group of people imitated the natural sounds around them. Now, this theory is not accepted by a wide range of linguists. Why? Because it's too simple. Simplicity is the flaw of Bow theory. It's too easy to understand and visualize, yet it fails to explain how much complexity could have arisen from simple animal sound. Language is very complex. These explanations of woof, meow, moo, splash are all very simple. Complexity of a language cannot be explained by bow wow theory. By such a simplistic explanation, we cannot explain the origin of language. Next, we move on to the ding dong theory. What is ding dong theory? It was proposed by the Dutch linguist Jan Bjorn de Courtenay in 1930. This theory suggests that language came into existence through onomatopoeia. It also argues that sounds made were in harmony with the world around them. Now, the most uh, popular effect which explains this theory would be the Baobab and Kiki effect. A very short activity for you. There is a circle or a there is a rounded object on one side, and on the other side you have a very sharp object. You have two words, Bauba and Kiki. Will you use the word Bauba to refer to the rounded object or the sharp object? Will you use the word Kiki to refer to the rounded object or the sharp object? I think I'm being clear here. Many of them will say that Bauba is the word used to refer to a blunt or a rounded object, and the word Kiki will be used to refer to a sharp object. Now, when you look at the word Bauba itself, it has many rounded letters. B itself is a very rounded letter. And when you take Kiki, the word Kiki, when it's written down, the letter K has many sharp corners or edges. So the word itself displays the characteristics of the object visually and also sonically. This is what Ding Dong theory believes. A word expresses the characteristics of the object it represents. The word has connection, innate connection with the meaning. So this theory supports non-arbitrariness. What is arbitrariness? Linguists Saussure, Ferdinand de Saussure, popularly told that language is arbitrary in nature. He told that there is no connection between the word and the meaning. But what does Ding Dong theory say? Language is non-arbitrary. There is a connection between the word and the meaning. For example, This is called as sound symbolism. The sound is a symbol for what it stands in reality. Let's take the word glimmer. The word glimmer itself has some association with light. You can figure out the meaning just with the word glow. Nobody needs to teach you the meaning of the word glow. You understand it? Gleam, glisten, all these are related with brightness and light. So, words that have the letters GL or start with the letters GL seem to be associated with light. As we spoke with Bow theory, this theory is also too simple. We cannot explain the complex structure of a language in a too simple way like this. Next, we will move on to the poo-poo theory. What is the poo-poo theory? What is poo-poo theory? Now, poo-poo theory talks about the time when language originated from involuntary emotional sounds. Poo-poo theory says that language evolved from exclamations, from interjections. Rousseau called these as cries of nature. Let's say you are touching a very hot object. You will touch the object. Since it's too hot, you will react to it immediately. Ouch! Or when you're disgusted by something, you'll say, ugh. And when you are relieved, you will say, when you are experiencing pleasure or when you're too surprised, you'll say, ah, yes. So the poo-poo theory says that language evolved from these exclamations and interjections. Now, this theory connects human language to our primal emotional responses. This theory is also too simple to explain. These are all just very abstract theories. Maybes, we're talking about maybes and not facts. Next, you have the gesture theory. What is gesture? Is a movement of hand, the way you move your eyes, the way you move your eyebrows, the way you raise your eyebrows, the way you lift your lips, the upper lip. All these come into the broad category of non-verbal communication or body language. Initially, human beings did not know how to communicate with each other. So, what did they do? They used gestures to convey what was in their mind. What are manual signs? They used signs that they could understand. For example, if there is a prey or a predator nearby, I could point out to the predator and ask my fellow people to run away from that place. So, gesture theory says that gestures came first. From gestures, language was born. It was like a sign language. So, gestures came first. From gestures, you have speech. And from speech, writing was born. So, this is gesture theory. And then we have the Yohi-Ho theory. What is Yohi-Ho theory? Now we need to remember how our ancestors lived in the past. Now we have the concept of nuclear families, but joint families were very popular even among your grandparents. Even earlier before that, people lived as communities. In order to provide for each other, they will work as groups. So communal labor was very important. It was a part of their day-to-day life. People, in order to build a house, people will go chop some wood and carry heavy objects together. There was a lot of manual labor. When manual labor was involved, people will make noises in order to uh, keep working, in order to stay coordinated, in order to motivate each other to keep doing hard manual work. And they also made noises out of pain. So you have noises made in a very rhythmic manner. For example, when people are farming, when people are um, rowing boats, for example, when you look at old Tamil movies, you see people fishing by rhythmically chanting Elelo Ailasa, Elelo. So you have seen that in movies. When people are farming, people will sing songs together, and the same line will be repeated again and again. And when people carried logs, they made grunts. They grunted while carrying heavy objects. And now the theorists who came forth with the Yogiho theory told that language arose from these sounds. From these sounds, language evolved. From the rhythmic vocalizations, which were uh, born during cooperative physical labor, gave birth to human language. These were all instinctive cries. From these instinctive and rhythmic noises, language evolved. Now, what are shanties? When sailors are going on a very long journey over the sea, they sang songs. Those were called as shanties. You have the sailors' shanties, you have work songs, and you have marching songs, chants. From all these, language evolved. So, sounds were used as um, symbols to communicate with each other, to coordinate with each other, to build community, and to get work done. Next, you have the sing song theory. Now, as I said in the beginning of this class, Charles Darwin and Otto Jesperson suggested that language evolved from music. Music was used for um, social bonding, for courtship, for ritual, and not for utilitarian needs. We are not talking about a very formal setting in sing song theory. We are talking about a very informal setting where music was used for social bonding, for courtship, and for ritual. We are talking about an informal setting. We are not talking about language used for utilitarian needs. Language began as play rather than earnest, full of long, melodious but unmeaning expressions that fostered emotional connection. Language was used for getting emotionally connected with other human beings. We're not talking about a very serious situation here. Language or music was about a lot of playful emotions rather than something very, very serious. Now, parents used songs in higher pitches to make the child sleep. You have lullabies, and then you have rhythmic chanting, uh, which was used by a community in order to bond with each other. What are the key insights or key takeaways from all these theories? There is no single answer as to how language evolved. How did speech come into existence? We have only speculations. Language serves many purposes. For naming, we use language. For expressing emotions, we use language. For coordinating, we use language. And for bonding socially, we use language. These were all the uses that we saw in all these six theories. Now, these theories sparked a lot of controversy and a lot of discussion amidst linguistic communities. And this led the way for modern linguistic research. Thank you.